Texas finally 1-0, finally riding for the brand.
And I'm getting back on my soapbox and saying that if they just hit and rap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
You heard it here first from Hunter. Book your plane tickets to Omaha. Today.
Hello, welcome to the 1-0 Sports Show. We apologize about that technical issue right there, but we're here. We're here. Me and Michael Alvarez right here, my other host right here. And we want to say before we start this, today's show is brought to you by Cap Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Planning right to this weekend's game at capmetro.org. And so, today's show, first of the semester, very excited to get back into the swing of things. We're going to have an exciting show. We're going to talk about the NFL divisional round and what we expect from it. We talk about Texas's inconsistent start in Big 12 play for men's basketball. We'll finish with some talk about our women's basketball team. So, we got a packed show today, but we're going to start off with how we always start, which is every week is who's hot, and who's not. So, Mike, you want to start us off with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hottest team, in my opinion, right now are the Texans. I mean, this team was last year, won 3 games? Maybe 2, I forget. I mean, they blew their number 1 seed chance, but what's a blessing in disguise because they were able to get C.J. Stroud. So, I mean, there was definitely nothing wrong with that pickup. I mean, this team somehow found a way to go 10-7, sneak their way in the playoffs. And they won their division, so they got the 4th seed, and they got the home field advantage against the Browns, and absolutely dominated. I mean, 45 to 14, 17, whatever it was dominant performance. C.J. Stroud threw for 3 touchdowns, 265 yards. So I mean, that team.
Perfect passer rating as well.
Almost a perfect passing rating. I mean, this team is something else. I mean, a lot of them are favorites to beat the Ravens this week. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, that team's something else. Tank Dell, shame he got injured. But Nico Collins, who was on my fantasy team, has been very great this year. I'm not going to lie.
He was great in the playoff game, too.
I expect big things out of this team going forward. Even if they were to lose this next team, this team's future is bright.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy. I think the recency bias is a little crazy to think that they could beat the Ravens. But, I mean, the Texans are pretty hot right now. I'm going to go with a team on the ice right now, the Edmonton Oilers, because they've won 12 straight games. And in hockey, I mean, that's like almost impossible to do. 12 straight games on the ice is crazy. They've outscored their opponents by 27 in those 12 games and beaten some good teams like the New York Rangers, New Jersey Devils, the Flyers, and the Maple Leafs, also the Kraken. Sure, we could talk about the flashy and fast offense that the Oilers have with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl. You also have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. But the defense has been the real MVP for them in this stretch. In the last 9 games, the Oilers have only allowed 13 goals, which has helped the offense because a lot of these games are one-score games. Talking about the Rangers, the Devils, they were all one-score. But the Oilers, they've been real hot. And they're finally looking like the dangerous threat that they should be because they started off really cold at the start of the year. But they're starting to pick it up. They're starting to make it up in the Pacific Division. Hopefully they'll make the playoffs. They're a very exciting team to watch. So anyways, there's our who's hot. Who's not?
As much as it pains me to say this, my who is not team would be the Texas men's basketball team. I mean, starting off 1-3 in conference, dropping to arguably, they've dropped their first 2 home games in the conference. They lost to 2 bottom tier Big 12 teams in West Virginia and UCF. So, I mean, me and you were actually at this UCF game, and it was the absolute drop-off from that hot start to that abysmal final 10 minutes of the second half. I mean, what I liked about this team in the first half is they were doing a lot of back screens, they were doing a lot of down screens, a lot of different movement you haven't seen all year. And then about halfway through the second half, when they were up 15 points, they reverted back to their old selves, so really no ball movement, kind of ball hogging, holding the ball the whole possession, a lot of just handoffs at the top of the key, no movement, and it just, I mean, they went scoreless for basically the last 5 minutes of the game, which is never going to help you when you're trying to close a game out. And I mean, this team really has no identity. I mean, I don't know what this team is, like who this team is. I mean, they don't seem to have any player chemistry at all either. So I mean, and it's especially because they're about to run into 6 ranked. The last 14 games of the Big 12 Conference, 11 as of right now, 6 straight are ranked, and 11 of the 14 are going to be ranked. So I mean, this is about to be there's about to be trial through fire, and I don't know how they're going to pull off. But right now, that team's not looking too good.
I mean, look at that. I mean, when UCF switched to zone about halfway through the first half, I mean, they just they kind of crumbled down. They didn't know how to adjust to it. At halftime, they came back strong after the halftime adjustments, and then they just kind of came back to hero ball, like you were saying, turning the ball over a lot. That was a very tough game to watch, and especially losing to West Virginia before that as well. Not a good look at all.
Man.
But I got my who's not. This one hurts like a lot. This one hurts a lot. All right.
Yeah, we know what's coming.
So you got the most valuable sports franchise, not only in Texas, not only in the USA, but the entire world. All right. You got 9 Pro Bowlers on your team. All right. You got the second seed in the conference. You got home field until the NFC conference. And you give up 48 points to the Green Bay Packers. Mike McCarthy, all right, he's coming back. I could say a lot of stuff about that, but he's had 36 wins in his last 3 years and has only won one playoff game. And Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones is like, yeah, this is our guy right here. Every year with him as our coach, we've had the same script. Part of the season, we look like the best team in the NFL. Part of the season, we start becoming frauds. And then the postseason comes, the flags are getting thrown left and right, the team forgets to play, and we lose in a way that makes you feel like your house just got burned down. The Cowboys will never, ever, ever change. It's all about the culture, and we've had a lot of people we've been blaming for the 30-year struggle. You go back to Jason Garrett, you go to Mike McCarthy now. A lot of people say Dak Prescott. But I'll tell you what, there's been one common denominator these last 30 years, and that's Jerry Jones himself. All right? Not only does he outprice the average fan at Cowboys games, he also has found a way to always hire head coaches to take the blame away from himself. Again, talking about Jason Garrett, that's a good example. You say 8 or 10 years? The average lifespan of an NFL coach is 4 seasons. You're telling me he did double that? So I mean, I don't know. I haven't even talked about Dak Prescott and how he absolutely, the bed. During that game, his sleep mattress bed probably during the game. And as a diehard Cowboys fan, I would say I would rather have the Eagles season. You would have expected the loss in the playoffs. You would have seen it all happen before the playoffs even started. You would have seen all those losses count up. They gave me hope again. Every year, it's all about giving hope just to crush it in the end. Just to crush it. It's unbelievable. It's the worst feeling. I don't know why I was born into this fandom, but here we are, man.
Due to time restraints, we cannot have TJ have a whole rant about how bad the Cowboys have done his life and definitely this year.
It's too early to have this blood pressure going on, man.
We're gonna jump away from our who's hot and who's not. We're gonna go into our trending round. The divisional round of the playoffs is coming up this weekend. What are your predictions for the 2 teams to make it to the Super Bowl?
Well, if we don't have the Cowboys, I'll go with the other Texas team, which a lot of people might actually see this as a surprise, but I'm actually going to go with the Texans. Maybe I'm just starting to get delusional with all the Cowboys talk. But this team has no pressure right now. There's no pressure on them at all. Nobody expected them to be here, and they've looked really, really good. I mean, the Browns' defense is a top 10 defense. You had C.J. Stroud, who had a almost perfect passer rating in the wild card game. Just think the Texans can make that Cinderella run. He has dangerous weapons even without Tank Dell. Nico Collins, again, we mentioned him earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Has been really good. Dalton Schultz, the red zone master, man. This guy always gets the touchdowns when they're in the red zone. And, I mean, C.J. Stroud, if he could score, he didn't score 45. He scored actually 31. The defense got 2 pick sixes in that game. I think he could score at least 20, 25 on the Ravens. It's going to be up to the Texans' defense to win against Baltimore, I think. In the NFC, I think the answer's less entertaining, though. I'm going with the 49ers. The 49ers, they're just by far the best team in the NFC. You have unlimited weapons on the team.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brendan Ayuk. And, of course, Brock Purdy. A lot of people could say – you could say a lot about Brock Purdy, but you could tell he's winning them games. I just think that, with their insane year on offense that they have, their amazing efficiency, and just the lockdown defense that they have, I just think that it's going to be hard to see them not in the Super Bowl this year.
I have to agree with you on that. I mean, my 2 teams, I'll start off with the NFC. I'll have to agree with you on the 49ers. Last semester, in a Crossfire episode when I was on, I said Brock Purdy was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and everyone called me crazy. They said I was a madman, and look what happened. He was second in MVP voting, and he's leading his team to probably the Super Bowl with how the NFC is looking this year, with the Cowboys and Eagles absolutely flunking that way. So I mean, I'll let you talk a lot about the 49ers. So we're gonna hop off on that. I just had to make that point, and I'm gonna go to my AFC team. I think the Bills are finally gonna make that push over the hump and make the playoffs. I mean, make the Super Bowl. I mean, this team started off 5-5. And they were losing in probably the easiest part of their schedule for some reason to start the year, and then to end the year they won 5 straight games, and that part of those teams, that was the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Dolphins. 3 of those teams, the teams they won. So I mean, and this team found a way to go 11-6, get that second seed when they looked like they weren't going to make the playoffs at all. And this is the first time they're going to face again. They're going to have the battle with Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen battle, but this time Josh Allen finally has the home field advantage. It's the first time Mahomes has to go into a road arena during the playoffs.
How time?
Yeah, and I mean, especially because he doesn't have a lot of weapons this year, it's going to be I think the Bills can finally pull it off, and I don't think any other AFC team, maybe the Ravens Texans game. I don't know. I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC right now. And that's going to be a very entertaining Super Bowl if my prediction becomes right, in my opinion. But yeah, those are the 2 teams that I think are going to make it.
That's really interesting. It's just crazy to see how quickly a season can change. I mean, at the start of December, I mean, there's some people that didn't think that Buffalo was even going to make the playoffs, and now they're looking at the 2 seed of the AFC playing against a struggling Kansas City team this entire year. I mean, they could easily make it for sure. It's pretty crazy to see how quickly that season's turned around for them.
Yeah, I have to agree.
So anyways, let's go into college football. Because it's been a while since we've had a 1-0 show, I just want to talk about the Texas football season and, you know, the ending of the Sugar Bowl game and what we kind of expect next season, since, you know, we haven't talked about it in a while. So, Mike, I mean, what are your thoughts about the Sugar Bowl, and what do you kind of expect for next season?
The Sugar Bowl, we'll start with the Sugar Bowl. So the Sugar Bowl went exactly how I thought it was going to go. The secondary was going to get absolutely exposed by the offense, by Michael Penix and that receiving core. I mean, that was our whole problem. I mean, I swear to God, you're watching the game and you think your defense gets a clutch third. You got 3rd down. You force them to kind of a 3rd down and long yardage, and they'll hit you with a deep ball that goes 40-plus yards. Michael Penix was putting the ball in the basket when he was throwing it. I mean, look at this pass. I mean, that's a perfect pass. Defense, that was actually great coverage right there. It was a perfect pass. So, I mean, they had a chance to win the game at the end. With a questionable high pass, if he threw it to his chest, they might have been playing for a national championship, but there's no reason to keep ranting about that. We're going to talk about, they don't think they deserve to win that game with the way they gave up so many yards, the way they make Michael Penix look like Patrick Mahomes. So we'll go back and look at the season. They had a great season. I mean, they did exactly what a lot of people thought they were going to do, and they won the Big 12. They lost one game. They won 11-1 in regular season, won the Big 12 championship game, and made a chance to go to the national championship game. And I think that this team, they really met expectations. I mean, they lost a lot of talent going in, but that's when we're just going to hop into this right now. This next year, I mean, they took 3 Alabama players from the portal. Alabama's having a fall-off year, so we're going to take advantage of all of that. I mean, they have Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Blackshire, Matthew Golden, I mean, Trey Moore. Those are all in a big one, Andrew Mekabua, I think, the #1 safety out of Clemson. I mean, this team, I mean, they're really making strides this year, but the biggest thing I want to see is a big jump in Quinn as well. I mean, yeah, Quinn had a great year. I'm not going to lie from that, but a lot of that happened from his receivers getting themselves open and giving him a chance to make the ball. I think what his next step is to learn how to throw his receivers open if they don't be open, because a lot of times the offense can stall out if no one's open. So I think if Quinn can find a way to start making his receivers get open, besides them just getting open, making the right pass, then I think this team really has a good shot to go all the way next year.
Yeah, I think it's just it's really good to see that I mean, Texas is really, I think they're really back. I mean, making the playoffs and stuff. You know, you're going to lose a lot of that productivity that you were just talking about. Jonathan Brooks, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Jatavion Sanders. You're losing probably about 75 to 80% of the offensive touchdowns from this year. But again, it's just the reloading Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond, those 2 wide receivers that have been I'm really high about. You know, from Houston and Alabama. It's going to be, you know, I think they've reloaded really nice, you know, Stark After Dark.
I forgot to mention Ryan Wingo and Jonte Cook. I mean, they're still on the team. So
yeah,
I didn't mention
Jonte Cook, yeah, still on the team. And, I mean, you know, you had a disappointing end to the season, of course, but that's how it's going to happen with basically every single team except for one team. You're going to end with a disappointing end. But, I mean, that's a really good start. I mean, third season of Sark, and the last year of the Big 12. You know, you had the first 2 seasons with Sark, you had a less than 500 season, and then you had a 8-5, I believe.
Yeah.
And then now you go to this. You know, there's a lot of talk about maybe having to replace Sark if you're going into the SEC with 3 failing seasons in the Big 12. But he proved himself. You know, we were able to win, almost beat Oklahoma for an undefeated season, and then, you know, made it to the college football playoffs. I'm very impressed with this season. Very happy. I cannot wait for next year for sure. But that's going to be it for our first segment. When we come back, though, we're going to have Ikey Kohler come on for our verses. We can't wait to do that. You won't want to miss it. Coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
I mean, I could open up because I think you're going to go first on all of them.
I'm Ikey Kohler, testing the microphone. I was able to wake up this morning. I got to bed at a reasonable time last night, and I'm feeling all right this morning, so it's pretty good.
Alrighty, welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. We got our guest picker right here, Ikey Kohler. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. It's a good morning. It was a beautiful day outside, but no, I'm glad to be back on the show. It's been a little bit, so.
You said it's a beautiful day outside, man. I think it's pretty cold. Yeah. I think it's pretty windy.
Yeah, I got this little jacket.
He's got the nice jacket though, so it works for him.
Yeah, I had to support it.
I'd say yesterday was pretty nice though. That was like
it's weird because it starts off like 17 degrees for like 2 days straight, and then randomly bumps back up to 70. Now we're back to my 30. It's Texas weather, you know.
I can't believe it, man. I was shaking just coming in. But anyways, let's get started with our highlights. You know, we have 5 highlights from 5 different sports leagues. We're going to start off with Mike here. We're going to start off with the best wild card play of the week. Mike, what do you have?
Apparently this was called back. But I still think it's a great play. Jair Alexander's pick 6 against the Cowboys. I know, I'm sorry about the Cowboys, man. But I mean, he just made a great play on the ball here. I mean, he just jumped this route. Like, he made the catch. Like, that could have easily been Brandon Cooks' catch, and he's the one who made the catch. And he took it all the way back. Apparently, he got called back. But, I mean, that's still a great play on the ball. I mean, great coverage to start off, and then, Brandon Cooks is in front of the ball. I mean, that easily could have been his ball, but, I mean, Jair just took it from him. So
Maybe got away with a little hold there.
Maybe a little hold
Maybe
there.
a little hold.
Maybe a little. That's a friendly hold, though. Friendly hold.
Yeah, no, it's a wild card. Let them play.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. I'm not going to complain. Obviously, we didn't lose because of that. I'm going to go with Khalil Shakir's touchdown for the Buffalo Bills here. What a great play right here. So Josh Allen throws it, just a slant route right here. He comes back.
Wow.
I don't know how he was able to avoid that tackle. He avoids about 2 to 3 more tackles
Wow.
there, gets into the end zone. Huge touchdown for them, too, late in the 4th quarter as well. And, of course, the Bills go on to win that game. Now they're playing Kansas City this weekend. Ikey, who has the better highlight, though?
No, this I think it's a pretty tough one because, you know, the interception was kind of the beginning of the downfall for the Cowboys. But, you know, with Khalil Shakir, his touchdown, they were able to ice the game away. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Khalil Shakir touchdown for the Bills, allowing the Bills to move on to the next round. And just the fact he was able to stay on his feet and salt the game away against the Steelers, who were crawling back into that game. So I'm going to go with the Bills touchdown for that one.
Alrighty, so I'm up 1-0. There's a lot that the Steelers had to say about that game afterwards, and we'll get into that later into these highlights, actually. Let's move on to the best NBA play of the week. Mike, who do you have? Or what do you have?
Future face of the league, Anthony Edwards, showing what Anthony Edwards does probably every other night, which is just show off his insane athleticism. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he looks like a young LeBron. I mean,
Detroit's already seen enough, too.
Yeah, Detroit's seen a lot this year. But, I mean, I'm talking where he took off from and where he ended up landing. And the awkwardness of the dunk, too. I mean, he was away from the basket. He was falling away from the basket and kind of threw it in there and still had his hand on the rim. So, I mean, I just thought that was an insane play of athleticism. And now I'm looking down at the next play. I remember this play you're about to pull up, and that was crazy, too. So I'm excited to watch this one, too. So let's
I like Anthony Edwards. New face, or future face of the league. I mean, pretty high stuff. I mean, I like to see him. I think he looks a lot like a modern day D Wade. For my best play of the week, we went with Steph Curry and his dribble moves against the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, absolutely insane. Okay, so right there, or he gets him. Oop, all right, pick up back the dribble again. All right, step back,
Tight
come
dribbles.
back, keep going, keep reaching, young blood. All right, step back. All right, get through. Lay it
And then a
in
Curry
right
layup.
here.
Then a
Too
Curry layup.
easy. Let's get a replay on that because it's too good to see it just once. Pretty nice moves right there, just easy. Should have been an N1 too, actually. I don't know if they actually did. They might have called that an N1.
Looking like that 2015 play where he's kind of just dribbling around the Clippers and just throws up some
yeah,
nonsense.
I know,
that goes
man.
in.
I
But
miss seeing that. I miss seeing those Steph Curry highlights where he dribbles a lot. He moves a lot off the ball now as he's getting older, but that was actually kind of like some vintage Steph Curry there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give the points to Mike here. I mean, the dribbles were cool. I just thought it's a little bit slower than the Anthony Edwards dunk as far as, I don't know, get me fired up this morning. Got class after this. That dunk got me fired up, so I'm giving the points to Mike.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta like dunks over dribble moves. I respect it. So let's go in the best college hoop highlight of the week. Mike, who do you have?
Noah Farrakhan from West Virginia absolutely posterizing a poor, oh my God, a poor Oklahoma player. I mean, I didn't see it. Yeah, it was a very short clip, but yeah, it was. I mean, the only way I could find the play. Yeah, there we go. Jesus, dude was monster. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, they lost that game, but they won the heart of the fans. You know, they won my heart in that play. So that was the play I pulled up. I mean, there was a lot of good highlights from college basketball this past week, but I think that was my favorite.
Well, I'm going to have another short clip and another Big 12 poster. I'm going with Kansas and Oklahoma State. I have Noah Timberlake and his dunk against Oklahoma State right here. Breakaway dunk right here. This guy thinks he has a chance to block him.
Jesus.
And, I mean, it's quick. I put it
like he
in
got
the second
blocked.
time. It does kind of look like he got blocked a little bit, but you got to – all right, here we go. Here we go.
Third time.
See the third
Yeah,
time.
you can see.
It does
you can
look
see,
like he gets blocked
you
actually
can see.
from this distance.
Yeah, you can
but
see
he does.
puts it in though.
He does make it. He does make it. It's very clean.
He does make it.
Yeah, I mean, very good dunks. Both very good dunks. Ikey, who do you have here?
Yeah, I'm gonna give the. Sorry, TJ. I'm gonna give the point to Mike again.
Man.
I mean, yeah, the dunks are cool. I mean, there's just more ferocity in the. It was more ferocious.
Yeah, but I mean, you can argue TJ's was the white guy. Not
true.
to put race out
That's
there,
true.
but that's something you don't see a lot.
No, they
It's a
don't
white guy
expect it.
getting up there and making it happen.
They don't
But I'm
expect
taking
it.
the win. I'm not going to argue it.
And
but
on
I
the
mean-
fast break, too.
And on fast
But
break.
it does
yeah.
help that it's West Virginia, man. West Virginia. I mean, the only highlight they've had this year was beating Texas. I mean,
Yeah.
they've had
And
a
that's
horrible
probably not
year,
going to be a
so-
highlight when we get to the end of the year. So I mean, it's just that.
So disappointing,
we're
man.
gonna-
Still can't believe that was a loss.
Yeah, we're going to quit ranting about that.
So yeah, we got the worst ref mistake or the biggest blooper. So since I think we actually, both of us didn't do a ref mistake. So biggest blooper this week, Mike. Who do you have?
It's anytime I can bring LeBron in, I'll bring LeBron in. It's not even really anything goofy. It's just the fact that he just does whatever he wants to the camp, whatever he wants when he's not doing anything. He's that type of player. He will literally, like, look at this, just staring at the camera. I'm just gonna put a cup on it. And he kept it there too, and it stayed on that. I know the clip's short, but it stayed on that shot for it stayed like that for a good 4 seconds where they flipped cameras. It just sat on the cameras looking at the bottom of the cup. I mean, you know LeBron, he'll just I remember that one time when he was in Cleveland where he ran to a fan and he grabbed it out and he faked like he was gonna sip it and then he put it back. I mean, he's so goofy.
He's so
But
goofy.
I mean, I love the guy, and I just think I couldn't find too many crazy things. Anytime I have the chance to put LeBron out there, I put LeBron out there. So that was my.
I think
blooper
my
of the week.
favorite blooper from him is whenever he tried to bounce it over the TV broadcast. And
Oh,
ended up
and
getting one of the light
he
sticks on
he
it.
tried to get it into the what's it called?
He just
into
stands
the
there.
shot rack in the ball rack, and he hit the camera light.
All right. So I'm going to move on to mine. Mike Tomlin, you're not going to be able to hear this audio right here, but so he was at his press conference after the Buffalo Bills game, and a reporter asked him, of course, are you going to return next season? He's the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. And before she even finishes the sentence, Mike Tomlin just leaves. He just leaves. He just gets out of there. It was like some cut scene where it was like skip the cut scene, And I don't know if we have the clip, but. Yeah, there we go. So
He
he
looks
just
mad already.
Yeah, he already looks mad. He's got the hoodie on too. He just all right. Skip the cutscene, like some. He's gone, and that was it. They just ended the press conference right there. So, Ikey, who do you have?
No, yeah, here I'm giving the point to TJ. I just think that face that Mike Tomlin was making, like his eyes got big, all beady eyes, looking around, hoodie on. I think that's just. Yeah, it's classic. That's
He
classic.
just abruptly leaves the room. He just turns and goes. I mean.
Yeah, and he's been there long enough to where he can do that, and he really doesn't have to worry about facing repercussions. Unless they fire him, but I don't think they will. Given the season he had, taking the Steelers to the playoffs.
Yeah, taking them to the playoffs was already a massive accomplishment. I think that's got to be like a top 3 walkout. A walkout of a press conference. You got Cam Newton up there, Super Bowl 50, I believe. That was a great walkout.
Great
press
walkout.
conference afterwards. But I think that goes up there with Cam Newton. But anyway, so now we're tied 2-2. So we got a tiebreaker for the very last round. This is very exciting. And we're gonna have the best NHL play of the week. So Mike, who do
Sad
you
it
have?
comes down to this because I don't know anything about hockey, but it's Alexander Holt's strong shot to tie the game versus the Canadians. I wish you could hear it. I couldn't find audio, but when I saw it on Instagram, it sounded like a gunshot when he hit the puck. So if it pops, it wasn't the craziest highlight. I wish I could find the audio, but he kind of lobs it over there and just smacks the heck out of it.
Bang.
It looked like he was about to hit a golf ball the way he just wound it up and just smacked it.
That might be triple digits. 100-mile-per-hour shot right
Yeah,
there. That was pretty quick.
the goal. Seeing that as a goal, even with all the padding on, I might duck away because that puck's that's a hard little puck, man. That's not a soft
tough.
puck. That's all I got though. So hopefully that's enough to pull it off, depending on what TJ pulls out here.
All right, well, mine is going to be the Montreal Canadiens and Cole Caulfield's pass right here. He passes it out of midair for a goal to, I can't remember who the player is, but look at this. It goes a little too quick, so I got a replay right here. Cole Caulfield right here, so you can see the puck comes in. He just passes it out of midair.
Yeah, it was
flicks
like
it up,
plopped
right,
kind of...
dead center, yeah, just like right here, just goes like that. Mid-ice pass, not mid-center. Mid-ice pass in the center. And the Canadian finishes it off. So
The Canadian, yeah.
the Canadian, that's their team name. So,
the Canadian.
So Ikey, who do you have here?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to go with TJ's.
All right,
TJ's gonna get the win.
There we
but
go.
I've just never seen something like that in hockey. It was kind of like a soccer cross, but I mean, when they're skating too and they're moving, and yeah, it's got to be tough. So I'm going with TJ.
Take some massive hand-eye
TJ's tough highlights.
Alrighty, that means I win 3-2. Mike, that was
It was good. It was good.
It was
match.
good, man.
I mean,
It
I
was
was
good
up
to be
2-1.
back.
I feel like the 2016 Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead, but it was tough, man. It was a tough way to go.
I
out,
can't
but it is what
remember.
it is.
I can't remember the last time I won a highlight, so pretty excited about that. But don't go away just yet. When we come back, we're gonna have Manny Ramirez come back on, or come on for the first time this semester and talk about women's basketball. You won't want to miss it. And Ikey, thank you very much for coming on as well. Actually,
Thank you all.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, we're gone.
Yep.
Good morning. Welcome back to 1-0 Sports Show. We are now joined with our executive producer, Manny Ramirez, as he is also the women's basketball
Yes, I
reporter
am.
for the
Absolutely.
Daily Texan. Absolute double. He's just him right here. So I mean, we have a chance.
Doing
yeah,
both,
we have
man.
a chance to talk about a success. Maybe the only successful basketball team we'll have this year on 40 acres. So we're going to hop right into it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this team. I know this is a really hard subject because this team was looking really hot
Yeah.
when she went down.
Yeah,
What is the
yeah.
difference between this team with Rory Harmon and without Rory Harmon?
Yeah, so, I mean, man, I tell you, I was back home. I was sitting on my couch, and I got the email, Rory Harmon done for the season. I was like, oh, I mean, my heart just sank legitimately. Got a pit in my stomach. But the two differences with this team is that so far on offense, with Madison Booker, the true freshman, mind you, running the show, there's still a little lack of offense. You know, there's still Rory Harmon was able to just get to her place, find her shot, and just it was money every time.
Yeah.
You know, but it was more of what she did for everybody else. You know, Madison Booker's a wonderful player team, but Rory Harmon drew that double team, that triple team that ended up sucking people out of their positions where she could find an easy dish to a wide open person.
Yeah, she's a playmaker.
Yeah, they're getting to that point where Madison Booker's getting that respect because she too gets to her shot, finds her spot, and raises up and can sink it. But the biggest change in these two teams is the defensive side. Not only was Rory Harmon one of the best scorers in the entire country, she also guarded the best player on each side. You know, I mean, I think about the UConn game, right? UConn came to the 40 acres, played in the Moody Center. That thing was packed out. She was on Paige all night. I mean, to the point where it was just hand off to Paige. She looks for somebody else and gives it. You know, like I said right here, she finds her place. She comes around. Look at that double team. She's able to pass it to Amina Mohammed. Amina Mohammed wide open for the shot. I mean, she does so much. But look, we saw this in Madison Booker. She finds her shot. She raises up. She gets the and one. So those are the two biggest changes right now. Is the defense is not as high powered as it is, and defensively they're trying to recreate Rory Harmon.
Yeah, I mean, Madison Booker just has an incredible bag, and you know, losing Rory Harmon and just everything that she does, it seems like she does everything on the court. She can do anything.
Definitely.
I mean, outside of Madison Booker, I mean, who else has stepped up to help this team win with Harmon's injury?
Yeah, so, you know, I think one of the big things is Aaliyah Moore. Aaliyah Moore, she's been sidelined these past couple seasons. She had a season-ending injury last season. She only played a couple games. She got into late December and ended up having to sit out for the rest of the season. So last game against Kansas here at home, she had 17 points. She led all scorers. She was banging down threes. She was posting up. She was doing all that she could. So I think she's a big-time help in just kind of taking some of the pressure off of Madison Booker, you know, not genuinely forcing her to be the only scorer on the team, you know, or the only single option. But two perimeter shooters, Shaylee Gonzalez and Shay Holly, I mean, they are fire from the floor. I mean, they do such a great job spreading it, being able to knock down their shot. I mean, it's to the point now where if you leave them open, this is cash. Like, it is money. It is going in. And so they're so dangerous. And so this kind of just opens up this team in the, you know, on the perimeter to where you're forced to have the defense kind of, you know, come out a little bit more. And now you have somebody like Taylor Jones who's able to be down low and kind of just feast whenever she wants to, you know. But right now, I'd say the biggest one stepping up is definitely Shay Holly. She's that veteran presence. She knows what Coach Schaefer likes. She's been in this system for a little while now. And like I said, she will run some of the offense as well, and she can also play some defense really well. So I think outside of Madison Booker, you got to look at Shay Holly and give her props.
Yeah, I mean, Shay Holly is my dad's favorite player. And
hey, there you go. It's a good favorite player to have.
I don't know what his reason is. I think I do, though. But we're going to move on from that. And we're going to go to the next question. These past two games, Texas has a loss to Kansas State on the road and a win for Kansas at home.
Right.
What did each of these games tell you about the team?
Yeah, you know, so against Kansas State, they ended up getting into some trouble from behind the three-point line. They shot an abysmal, like, 18% from behind the arc. I mean, it was bad. It was not their identity at all. They got away from going down low. They got away from drawing out possessions. Now, mind you, these two teams are drastically different. Kansas State sits at at the time, number 11. I think they jumped up to number 9 after the game. And then you have a Kansas team who is unranked. But, mind you, at one point in that Kansas game, this was the same team that we've seen pretty much all year. I mean, they had, at the end of the first quarter, they had like a 20-point lead. Then it grew to a 30-point lead. Then it grew to almost a 40-point lead. I mean, this was a complete domination from this team, and it's what we are used to them seeing, them doing, especially with Rory Harmon, and now without. It's good to see kind of like this happen. Now, the biggest thing is, can you put together quality performances on the road when things aren't going your way? You know, against Kansas State, like I said, they weren't shooting well from behind the arc, and then it ended up having to become where it was like the Madison Booker show. She had to kind of run this offense, and she had to force some shots, and there were a lot of instances where it was kind of like at an awkward form that they're trying to go up for a layup. It wasn't a high percentage shot. It wasn't something that they're used to, you know. And in the press conference after Kansas, I asked Coach Schaefer, I said, hey, listen, you know, how do you guys make this performance on the road? You know, how do you replicate this? And he said, we focus on 3 things. We focus on energy, we focus on rebounding, and we focus on defense, you know. He's like, those 3 things, you don't hear about a 3-point shot. You don't hear about solo ball. None of that. It is, we are a team, you know, and we have to focus on these 3 things. We focus on those 3 things, we're going to have a good time on the road.
Yeah, and going back to kind of the Big 12 opponents in Kansas State and all that, when Texas was at the top of the Big 12 last year, they didn't have Kansas State kind of up there with them. Now you're saying that they're ranked 9th. I mean, what does the competition kind of look like in the Big 12 this year?
It's a dogfight, to be completely honest with you. I mean, there's so many programs that are so good right now. I mean, you had a Kansas program that the Longhorns just beat by, I want to say, almost 40 points. Take down at the time the number 4 Baylor Bears over there in Waco. You know what I mean? Like, this is so much of a conference of, like, on any given day, if you're not playing at your absolute best, you're going to get embarrassed. You know, like, there is no, like, oh, we can take it easy on this team, or we can have a light week of practice for this team, because everybody's going to come to play. You know, and everybody's going to try. And, I mean, we talk about it all the time, right? When it comes to Texas, you're going to get everybody's best week of practice. You're going to get their hardest playing players, all this other stuff, because it is the Longhorns. I mean, that's just simple. That's what we've seen time and time again. And it's no different here. I mean, everybody's heard all this talk about Texas. You know, just 2 years ago, they made it to, I want to say, the Elite 8. They had the tough loss to Louisville at the Moody Center last season, but now they're back again. They want to play. They have this veteran presence. They're ready to go. So everybody's looking at, okay, Texas is probably going to be there at the end of the season. You know, so it's a dogfight, legitimately. I mean, like you said, I mean, we had at that time, it was the matchup of number 10 versus number 11 in Texas and Kansas State on the road. That one went back and forth, was down to the last possession. Texas lost it on a missed 3 at the end of the game. This is going to be a conference to watch. Everybody talks about the SEC, right, and women's basketball in the SEC, and that's a different animal. Don't get me wrong. That is a completely different animal. But I do believe the Big 12 needs its respect in this regard, because there are plenty of good teams.
Yeah, and I mean, finally, to end it off, obviously, how we probably usually end off.
Yeah, absolutely.
All interviews, we're going to talk about how far can this team go, what's the secret of this team. How far do you think this team can go in both the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament?
You know, I think if they don't get away from their game, right, if they stay completely focused on what they do and their people show up, I think this is a team that can really do something special. You know what I mean? I think this is something that they're able to accomplish what they've really wanted to do. And I think in the conference tournament, I think we're going, like I said, you're going to see them towards the end, you know. And I don't see anybody else. Like you said, we had the loss to Baylor. That was the first game after Rory Harmon went out. It wasn't a good shooting performance for anybody, and I mean, rightfully so. You just lost Rory Harmon, right? She was the focal point of your offense and your defense, and now you had to change. But that's the great thing about Coach Schaefer. Coach Vic Schaefer has done this for a long time. and he knows what to do. And he's been able to kind of readjust everything and make it to where now everybody is kind of filling in that role, you know. And you can ask any player, and they've said it time and time again, there's no replacing Roy Harmon, and there really isn't. But collectively, together, I think they're going to go far, especially in the conference tournament. And in NCAA, I mean, I've seen what this team can do at their best, and I've seen what this team can do at their worst. Again, you got to get a little lucky. You got to be hot at the right time, right? All these things, all these factors play in together. But, like I said, if this team can play how they play, Madison Booker doesn't try to become like hero ball, you know, and she understands I'm with a lot of really good players on the court right now. I don't have to try to, you know, shake and bake and do all this other stuff. I think this team is going to go real, real far, and I think I can find themselves. I think their floor is legitimately a Sweet 16, and their ceiling is definitely being there at the end of the season. I fully believe that. Like I said, yeah, a couple things got to happen, things like that, but there's so much season left to play, and they're able to do that and readjust and play some really good basketball.
All righty, guys. Go ahead. Book your tickets for the March Madness Final Four, maybe? Maybe?
Hey, man, check me out, man. Check me out.
You got the Kansas State polo shirt on, though, right? Look at this.
Come on. I can't be a journalist and wear Longhorn colors. It's one of my pet peeves of being a journalist.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. But check out Texas on Wednesday, Red River Showdown at the Moody Center. Back at home on Wednesday this coming week. They're going to have a big-time game. Pack that thing out. They deserve everybody's respect and support and everything like that. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, we expect to see y'all there. Well, also, Texas will play Oklahoma State tomorrow in Stillwater, right. So I also expect y'all to watch that as well, because this team is really good.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much, Manny, for
Appreciate
coming on and talking some women's basketball.
Yeah, definitely.
He won't be going anywhere, though. We'll have him at the Pick'ems in the last segment of the show. But before that, me and Mike, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth with the men's basketball team and the women's basketball team as well.
Oh, yeah.
So you won't want to miss that as well. Well, all that coming up and more on the 1-0 Sports Show.
Good morning and welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. We're about to talk some men's and women's hoops, especially to start off with this men's team as they have a tough battle coming up tomorrow morning with number 9 Baylor Bears coming to the Moody Center at 11 a.m. to, probably, we don't know how that game's, I don't know. We don't know yet. We really don't know yet, especially how this, we won't say anything. I'm not going to jinx nothing, but we are going to talk about who we think the leading scorer of that game is going to be for the Horns. Who you got?
Well, I mean, I know that most of the games we usually have Max Asmus or Dylan DeSuvier leading scorer. And I guess last game against UCF, we had Horton as our leading scorer. I'm going to go with a little wild card myself. I'm going to go Dylan Mitchell. I think I like him to be the top scorer for Texas this game. The Horns, they've been trying to get him involved a lot recently. He's also been really aggressive, more aggressive than I've seen before, which is also like getting the mid-range shots in, also getting into the paint and also shooting in the paint. They've been finding him a lot too as well. He had like 4 or 5 dunks against UCF. I want to see him do that more. He was also part of the Elite 8 team last year, and I think, having these couple losses now, I think there's got to be a leader in this locker room. And I think somebody that was part of the team last year that had so much magic, I think that's somebody that needs to step up the most. So I'll go Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, I had to say that Dylan Mitchell, he's one of the only 5 stars we have on the roster. He really needs to start. He needs to step it up if his team wants to turn the season around, be more successful. I have to agree with you there. I think he's a wild card. If I'm going to talk about leading scorer, our leading scorer, I probably have to go with our leading scorer, Max Asmus. He's had a heck of a season. He just passed. He had 32 points against that loss against West Virginia, and he just passed Larry Bird in career NCAA points last game.
Pretty crazy.
Which is kind of a random stat, but it is a real stat. That's an NBA legend right there. So but if Texas is going to pull this game off, it's got to come from more than just him. I want to see Dylan Mitchell step up. I want to see Tyrese Hunter step up.
Yeah.
I want them to keep getting Ethel Horton involved. I want to see Dessou and Shredrick finally become like a duo that really controls the paint in this game. And I think if UT wants to make a statement to the world, they need to make it on Baylor on Saturday. So I do have Asmus being the leading scorer, but I think it's going to have to be a whole team effort if they want to pull this upset off at home. But yeah, we're going to, even though we've kind of already talked about this game, we're going to go into the game. Me and you both covered the UCF game review. We're talking about kind of how that went for the Horns. You can go ahead and give us our one word you put in there and then add a little bit of a rebuttal.
Yeah, it's horrible. It was horrible, straight up horrible.
Yeah.
The Longhorns first of all, they haven't been able to outscore their opponent in the second half, and their 4 Big 12 games so far, this one was by far the worst. They got outscored by 18 points in the second half. They also did not score for the final 5 minutes of the game, against a very average defense. I think it's time to possibly hit the panic button. We're in the press conference afterwards with Rodney Terry. Somebody asked him to hit the panic button, and he said, no, we're not hitting the panic button. I think it is maybe time for that. The Moody Center used to be kind of a safe place for this men's basketball team. They only lost 1 home game last year at the Moody Center. That was Kansas State at the very start of the Big 12. They've already lost 2 to start off Big 12 play this year. And regardless of the opponent this year, they've already lost 2. I don't know what this team needs exactly, but I haven't liked how our bench has been, the productivity of our bench. You have 3 last game you had Brock Cunningham, Onyema, and Shedrick all coming off the bench. Just no really big playmakers for the team. So I just think, and again, Serge Jabari Rice last year being a bench player, we were just so blessed with him being on their team.
Spoiled for that.
Horton, on the bright side, though, did have 20 points this game, though, and I think, something that we could do is really get him start to get him involved more. He's a really great, dangerous 3-point shooter, something that we really need right now. Something that can get us going is some 3-point shots. So I'm looking forward to seeing him try to, hopefully get more than 10 points against Baylor, have a good game.
If I were to talk about that game, I touched on it earlier in the show. This team has no identity. They have no swagger. They don't play. It looks like they're not playing with any confidence. I can't tell what this team's gonna do moving forward. If they can randomly spark to a big upset or just randomly fall off the table when it comes to production wise. Right now if I'm looking at Rodney Terry, he might be on a hot seat right now. This team. Last year, I think any coach could have won with that team last year. That team was blessed with talent, and I think this year he's really shown that. I mean, he takes a step back. I mean, I still want to give him a year to try and figure out when he gets all his recruits in to see what he can do with the team. I think with this team though, they need to shake up their game plan. I mean, they need to flip it.
I agree.
I feel like they're playing with the game plan for last year's players than this year's players, and that's obviously not going to work. They need to find a way to work with the group they have and find a way to make a game plan that's, it's going to be the most successful for them. So I mean, the best thing another thing with this team is I don't see any player chemistry. Not one. I can't see one player or the other having a connection at all.
Yeah.
I feel like they pass the ball to the open man, but they don't pass the ball to the man they want to score. You know what I mean? They'll pass the ball if they see the guy open. You know what I mean? They're not looking for the shots. They need more than one shot creator, like you said. The bench really has no scoring. I mean, heck, their starting lineup has trouble scoring. So I mean, they really are missing. I mean, Abe Smith is a great playmaker in my opinion, but they're really missing. They need more than just him when it comes to late game scenarios. They're never going to get over that hump of scoring more points at the end than the other team. You know what I mean? That's a kind of an easy way to put it. But they need more than one person that they can give the ball to at the end of the game to go get them a bucket when they need a bucket. So, I mean, right now with this team, I really don't know how it's going to go, especially with this gauntlet they're about to run through in the Big 12. It might be tough to watch for some Texas fans, but maybe they'll prove us wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you had to replace Marcus Carr, Sir'Jabari Rice, Timmy Allen, though, were all great playmakers for this team and were able to draw a lot of attention. Now you're looking at this team right now, and you're kind of seeing that, Max Abmas is really the only player on this team that can really, get attention, get double teams, triple teams. We need Tyrese Hunter and Ethiel Horton to get hot really quickly at the start of games for, kind of us to just for the defense to focus on less than just one person and have more playmaking and be able to open up the floor a little bit more for sure.
That's what made the team so successful last year. They had a bunch of playmakers. They open up the floor. That seems to not be the case this year. They seem to be a one-trick pony, and obviously every team's figured out that trick. So right now it's not looking too hot.
Agree.
But moving on, we'll talk about what our interview was about, the women's basketball team. But we're going to take it to a different direction. We're going to talk about how you think they're going to end in Big 12 placement-wise, and where you think this team is now, and how they're going to be at the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Manny had a great explanation about this team and how they're doing so far in the Big 12 Big 12 season. The Texas team, I mean, without Rory Harmon, they've looked really good even without her, with other players on their roster. We talked about Madison Booker, Taylor Jones, Shaylee Gonzalez. They're 4-2 right now in conference play. I think if Harmon was still healthy, I would put them in first at the end of the Big 12. But again, what Manny said, just a dogfight in the Big 12. Teams that we didn't see as much of a dangerous threat last season, like Kansas State, are now being really good threats. I mean, Kansas State on top of the Big 12 right now. So, I mean, you're looking at, Kansas State undisputed, or actually, I think you could argue about them being the best team right now, but they're the best team in the conference right now. For me, and teams like Baylor, who are still out there, they've already beaten Texas this year at the Moody Center. I think third place is the best placement for this team right now. If they can continue beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, unlike the men's the men's basketball team, I could see them pushing for first right now. But I'm going to put them at 3 just to be safe. And, I'm excited. I think they do. I think no matter what placement they get in the Big 12, I think they can make a run in March for sure, though.
I think even without a Rory Harmon-led team, this team can go 1 or 2. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that Baylor game to me is a fluke. Like Manny had said, that was their first game without Rory Harmon, and they only lost by 6 points. I think with Rory Harmon, they'll win that game. Obviously, with Rory Harmon, it's a different team, but you can't say that because it's just not what it's going to be. I think that game's going to be a fluke. I think next time they play Baylor, they're going to find a way to get that game done. Kansas State, that was a tough game. I mean, that's the hottest team probably in NCAA right now. They've won 11 straight. Started off 6-0 in conference. I mean, they're a top 10 team. I mean, that depending on how if they can stay consistent, they could probably run the table. But I can see Texas finishing second behind maybe Baylor, Kansas State. I think they can beat Iowa State, Iowa State and Oklahoma are 2 teams that are above them in the conference right now. I think they're going to make a jump. I think they're better teams than them. They'll make that jump, so they can find a way to get over one of the Kansas State or Baylor team, depending on how that team stays to go. So I can see them being a top 2 team in the conference. I mean, right now, I mean, you have Madison Booker leading your points per game, assists per game, and field goal percentage. So I mean, that's something you don't look out for. That's something That's obviously
Yeah.
going to help. I mean, it's a freshman stepping up in the place of Roy Harmon, so that's always a good thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
So if she can find a way to fit into a Roy Harmon role, maybe try to get her teammates more open, maybe get her teammates more involved, become more of a playmaker than just a scorer, then she can take that role and this team can go back to the top of the Big 12. But that's kind of a stretch with her being a true freshman. But you never know. As obviously as you can see that. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of, I can see them probably finishing second.
And not to mention, I mean, this goes with every single team for Texas going into this season this year. I mean, playing against any of the Big 12 opponents, they know that this is their last time that they're going to have the opportunity to beat Texas. A lot of these players, especially on the Texas teams like TCU, Texas Tech, they were originally recruited by Texas possibly. They want to beat Texas. And, you know, that's going to be a tough all these games are going to be tough no matter what. I mean, even West Virginia, who you think Texas would have beat, you know, on the men's side, 5-10 record at the time for West Virginia. I mean, they probably had the motivation just because it's the last time that they're going to have a chance to beat Texas. So, you know, regarding that, Big 12 is going to be tough regardless. But I do think that this team, talent-wise, one of the best teams in the Big 12, regardless.
Yeah. Regardless, one of the best teams in the Big 12, arguably one of the best teams in the country. I mean, they're still a top 10 team or a top 15 team. I mean,
so I would call them a top 3 seed almost.
Yeah,
at this point for
I can
March.
see them being when it comes to NCAA time, a top 3 seed, floor 5 seed, I think. But I mean, I'm excited to see what that team can do. I want to see the men's basketball team finally do something. I want them to start surprising us. I want to see some. I want to be let down. I mean, I want to be. I want to be not let down. I mean, I want to be proved wrong. I don't want to. I want to sit here and hate on them because they deserve the hate right now. I'm just saying they're not playing what they should be playing, but I want to be proved wrong. That's all I got to say. And that's how we'll wrap up our basketball analysis, though. Is let the women's team keep hooping and let the men's team stop selling and finally prove us wrong. But we're gonna wrap up our D block right here. And before we go, we're gonna hop in next round. It's gonna be the pick'ems. My personal favorite. I did win pick'ems last year. TJ does owe me pizza press. I'm hold him accountable to that. I mean, I just know ball. That's all I can say. But we'll hop out of here now. Back next up we'll have pick'ems. All that coming up on the 1 and 0 Sports Show.
ladies and gentlemen, we have our final segment of the 1-0 Sports Show this Friday morning. It's been a very successful first show of the
I would say
semester.
so, absolutely.
Very happy with the result of this. So, and also I've heard that the mics have been amazing today, so I hope you guys have heard our crisp audio today.
Wonderful audio.
Amazing. It's never happened before for us, so I'm very, it's very, I'm very happy about it. So, as we all know, the Pick'em's our favorite segment of the show. We have 10 of the biggest games going on this weekend, and we're going to try to predict which one. At the end of the semester, whoever has the best record will get a free pizza press. Mike was the one who won the Pick'em's last semester. He was our most accurate picker. Way to go.
Shout out, Mike.
So let's start off without further ado. The first game that we have, we're going to start off with the divisional round games in the NFL.
Yep.
The Houston Texans started off with the Baltimore Ravens and Baltimore on Saturday at 3:30. It'll be ABC. Baltimore opens up with a -9. I'm going to start off with you, Mike. Who do you have winning this game?
I mean, a lot of people are thinking, hey, Texans can pull it off, but, I mean, this Ravens had a heck of a season. I think eventually the fact that the Texans are led by rookie production is finally going to catch up to them, and I think they're going to run into Lamar, who's the MVP favorite, and they're going to run into a lot of veteran players that have played in these big games. And I think Ravens. I think it's going to stay in maybe one close two-score game, but I got the Ravens.
Well, I'll go next. I like the veteran standpoint, but me being watching the Cowboys-Packers and seeing us lose to the youngest team in the playoffs with all of our experience, I think I'm going to go with the upset pick, the Texans, because they just don't have any pressure going on. They have no pressure. Baltimore, in the last couple years, haven't been the most successful team in the playoffs either. C.J. Stroud, he put up 31 points against the Cleveland Browns, a top 10 defense, top 5 defense, I think, actually. I have him beating the Baltimore Ravens with a very surprise pick. I did have them going to the Super Bowl, in the first block.
Right,
so I have to double down.
I
so
respect
what do you have, Manny?
Hey, listen, the Cinderella story ends here, Texans. I'm sorry, man. The Chariots turns back into the pumpkin. It struck midnight. Whatever you want to say, I think it ends here. Lamar's playing a fantastic season so far. I think he's done a great job leading this team. Like you said, I think if this game ends up becoming, a real dogfight back and forth, I think the veteran presence, knowing how to keep your calm, stay cool. Listen, when you have H-Town behind you, I think it's a pretty good place to play. But you're on the road, you're in Baltimore, it's probably going to be cold. Yeah. It could be wet also. Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough time to play. Listen, I'm going to go ahead and say Baltimore takes this one over the Texans.
Alrighty. Yep. So we got moving on to the next game. The Green Bay Packers play the #1 seed in the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers. This will be Saturday Night Football on Fox. San Francisco opens up also with a -9. We'll start off with Mike as well. Again, what do you have?
Cowboys might have been frauds, but the 49ers are not. I don't think the Packers are going to find a way to pull this one off, especially if they're going into San Fran. So I mean, the 49ers roster as a whole is probably the most talented in the NFL. They got so many weapons. We mentioned them earlier. We're not going to double down on that. Everyone knows what's happening. I got to go with the Niners. I think they cover the spread too, maybe beat it by a touchdown or more.
Yeah, no, I respect that definitely. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers have the Avengers. I mean, it's just plain and simple to say that. They really do. Like you talked about all their wonderful skill players and things like that. And I think we saw, we talk about this a lot, but one of the biggest differences in that game versus the Cowboys and the Packers was the coaching, to be completely honest with you. Play calls, things like that, I think it just wasn't it. I think Kyle Shanahan, his squad, they're going to be able to really get this one done. I don't think we're going to have too close of a game. It might be close to start off with. Jordan Love might make a few plays, but soon enough, I think we'll be able to see that San Francisco pulls away on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to complete the sweep here, unfortunately. I think this game's going to be closer than a lot of people think. I think Jordan Love is going to have another good game. I mean, the Green Bay Packers look like they're ready to play. But I also don't think that the 49ers defense is going to make all the stupid mistakes that the Cowboys made in the wild card game. So I'm going to have to go with the 49ers here in a close game. But let's go ahead and move on to the next NFC the NFC divisional game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. This will be on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Kind of a weird time for a kickoff at 2, but it's going to be on NBC. Detroit opens up with a -6.5. Who do you have, Manny?
Man, this was actually tough. The other two, you can kind of tell, all right, what are we doing, right? But this one's kind of tough. Baker's playing some of his best ball that he's played in a really long time. Obviously, you have Mike Evans on the side, who's definitely a threat for sure. I can't call out the Lions. I can't count them out, to be completely honest with you. From day one, I was on the Dan Campbell train. I said, this guy's going to change Detroit. Just to see the way he talks, the way that he has his players kind of play for him. He's a great coach. You could definitely tell that. So I'm going to go ahead and say, as close as this one is, I think the Lions have more firepower. I think they make just enough more big-time plays to be able to pull this one out. Give me the Lions in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Dan Campbell's going to have them ready for the game against Tampa Bay. And, I think Tampa Bay is playing really good football right now, but Baker Mayfield, he definitely got some help from the Eagles' defense and their incompetence of how to tackle. I'm not saying that the Lions' defense is better than the Eagles' defense, but they definitely have the momentum, unlike Philadelphia did. Right. I think, having another home game in Detroit, because of the Cowboys losing, being able to have a second home game is going to be huge for them. Yeah. And I think that's going to help them pull away a victory and go to the NFC Championship. Yeah. And who do you have, Mike?
Yeah, I got a complete sweep with the Lions. I mean, the way the Lions closed off last season, I had high hopes thinking they were going to go and keep doing what they were doing. That's exactly what they did. I mean, that team's talented. I think this team, Dan Campbell, is really doing something special in Detroit. Oh, yeah. And I can never root for a Sooner. I'm never going to root for Baker Mayfield in my life. I cannot stand that man. I think he's funny. I think he's funny, but I cannot root for that man. This is not going to happen. And I like the Lions. I think I've always liked the Lions because they're the underdog team. Right now they're not, but I mean they were they were so bad for so long, and they finally have some light at the end of the tunnel. So I want to root for them to go all. I want them to win it all if it comes down to that. It may not happen, but I would love if that happened. I got Lions complete the sweep. Let's do it.
30 years said won a playoff game?
1991, I believe. Right?
Yeah, longer than the.
Shout out the Lions, man, doing good things.
Unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, shout out. That was very good, especially since their basketball team hasn't been doing too good this season. So it's like soul for soul,
Yeah, hey, I respect it.
Soul for soul.
I get it.
So we're gonna move on to the last game of the NFC Divisional Week. Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. It seems like these two teams just meet every single time in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is going to be Sunday at 5:30. Another weird kickoff on CBS. Buffalo opens up with a -3. Mike, who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes and Allen are turned into Brady and Manning. So, I mean, that's just that they're destined to meet each other almost every year. This third year in a row they've done it. Mahomes has had the advantage on him those 2 years in close games. I mean, close games. And now it's kind of different. This year feels different because they're not going to be in Kansas City. They're going to be in Buffalo. They're going to be in New York. And to be fair, though, the Chiefs are prepared for the cold. You know where they play. I mean, you saw in their last game. So, I mean, they're going to be prepared for the cold. But I think the Bills just got more firepower this year. I think they won it more. I really think they just won it more. This game's going to come down to who wants it more. I think the Bills won it more. They won it bad. I know they won it bad. And I got them going to the Super Bowl. And I argue that they're going to win it all. So I got to go with the Bills.
Yeah, I got to agree, yeah. Having it in front of Bills Mafia for the first time against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, I think they're going to be motivated. They've lost to them almost every single time in the playoffs. They also beat them earlier in the year in Kansas City. So I think they can have they definitely have the ability to beat Kansas City. I'll go with the Bills as well. They're really hot right now. Kind of ironic because they're probably going to be playing in snow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm going to go with the Bills for this game for sure, and I think it's going to be a good matchup between the Bills and Texans for the Super Bowl. AFC Championship. To go to the Super Bowl. Let me be clear. All right. Who do you have, Manny, though?
I can't go with the sweep with you guys. Listen, I mean, to be completely honest with you, I still feel like there's a big time disconnect between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I think sometimes they're just not on the right page. Stephon Diggs wants to win now, wants to do it. And as much as I believe Josh Allen does also, it just doesn't happen. Sometimes he's overthrowing him, he's underthrowing him. The turnovers is a big-time conversation with Josh Allen right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Kansas City Taylor Swifts taking this one. I think Taylor Swift's boyfriend is going to do a great job. No, but in all seriousness, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to do what Patrick Mahomes does and just kind of make these plays that we scratch our head why did that work? If any other quarterback in the league tried that, you'd be like, that was the worst play you could have done. but for some reason it works for Mahomes. I think they're going to be able to do it. Like you said, they lost to Buffalo earlier in the season. I think they take that, they learn from it, they see what they did wrong, they go back into it. And if this was any other team, I would say the weather is going to be a huge factor. But because it is Kansas City and people were putting on literal skiing gear, snowboarding gear to go to this game, I think they'll be fine. I think this is pretty even, but I'm going to go ahead and say give me Mahomes in this one.
I mean, Andy Reid had icicles on his mustache.
I saw that. That was
They said
pretty
there's
cool.
15 emergency calls during the game for
Yes.
frostbites from fans.
Frostbite,
exactly.
hypothermia. Come on, y'all. Go
So-
just watch it at home.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what
the
are you
same
doing?
thing. You're more comfortable.
And like your drinks don't freeze the moment you take it out
You're
of the
comfortable on
refrigerator.
a warm couch.
You know,
like, man, it's so much better.
Anyway,
Some dedicated fans,
I
man. Some
respect it.
dedicated fans. But yeah, Mahomes has had some magical moments in
Yeah,
the divisional
definitely.
round.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I could definitely see the Chiefs winning. I'm still picking the Bills though.
Yep.
Next topic that we're gonna have is women's basketball. We have a
Hey.
couple good games over the weekend. First one is a really marquee matchup in the Pac-12 last year. The Pac-12. You have number 5 ranked UCLA at number 3 ranked Colorado. Both really good teams. We'll start off. This is also tonight at 7 on Pac-12 Network. Mike, who do you have?
I'm gonna go with the Bruins to pull off. I can't really call it. I mean, I think when the rankings are this close, it's not really an upset. I guess it can be because you're on the road. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything about these two teams. I'm gonna keep you honest with you. Women's basketball outside of UT is something I don't really watch. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I respect.
But I mean, I think the baby blue and gold is gonna beat the black and gold. So let's do
Okay,
it.
there you
Go
go.
Bruins.
I think. I mean, you're very reasonable with that. I think. I'm gonna go. Yeah, UCLA.
Hey,
Let's go.
I did it.
Get the upset. They were ranked 2nd before they lost to USC on the road last week. I think that. I mean, I'm gonna go with UCLA. Colorado's been really hot, but the thing is that they haven't played a team like this before. I understand they're at home, but you know, it's fun to pick some upsets every now and then. I'll go UCLA. The home team doesn't always win, so I'll go with them. Who do you have, Manny?
I just enjoy being different. I'm going to take Colorado in this one, to be completely honest with you. USC is a really good team, so them beating UCLA or UCLA losing to USC is not a big concern to me. They have a ton of really good players. They have a good freshman core as well. But give me Colorado. Like you said, you're at home. You know, traveling on the road can be difficult. I mean, Coach Schaefer describes road games as 1.5 games. Because it's like you're taking something extra, you know what I mean? You're supposed to win at home, but can you win on the road? That's the mark of a really good team. You know, Colorado, they're going to be playing, like you said, who do they play? Who do they really face? But, I mean, you're number 3 for a reason. You know, these committees don't give you, you know, anything for just, or don't give you a high
don't give
ranking
it the
just for
granted.
anything, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go ahead and say give me Colorado in this one at home. I'd like them to take the win.
Alrighty. Well, we can't complete the sweep there. We'll probably complete the sweep here on this game, though, because we got number 11 Texas playing at Stillwater tomorrow at 7. Who do you have? I'll start off with Mike again. Who do you have?
I think I see now a team I pay attention to. You know, a UT team. You know, so I think this team. Like I argue, they're going to finish probably top 1, top 2 in their conference. Oklahoma State. I don't think they're going to have the firepower of anything to handle the Horns. I mean, I think Texas goes in there, probably beats them at least by 15 plus. I mean, it's on the road. It's in Stillwater. I mean, that's always bad for any team going into Stillwater, football, basketball, whatever you want to call it. That's not a fun game. It's not a fun game.
Yeah.
No,
So, but I think it's different. I think UT goes in there and beats them by double digits. I got UT.
Yeah, and we discussed how the Big 12 opponents are just going to really try to beat down on Texas just because it's their last time playing them.
Right.
But I agree with you. I don't think that the Oklahoma State defense just has enough firepower to stop the Longhorns offense. I'm going to go with Texas here as well. Manny, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to complete the sweep like
Let's
you
go.
predicted. I'm going to go ahead and take the Longhorns in this one. I mean, Madison Booker's continuing to play some of her best game that she's played in a really long time. Or just kind of, you know, throughout the season. She's just really been developing. She's one of the bigger point guards, you know, kind of in the country. So she sees the floor really well. She has that kind of elevated angle. At the same time, Aaliyah Moore's coming back and playing a lot of really good basketball. I mean, like I said, she just led all scorers in their last game against Kansas with 17 points. She was 7 for 7 from the field. She was perfect. She had a great game. I think this was her, you know, kind of bounce back game. Like I said, she had some injuries. She's kind of getting through that. But like Coach Schaefer had described after the Kansas game, listen, when you get injured, you have that rust that builds up, and when the doctor clears you, it's not just kind of one of those, okay, great, I'm back to my normal self again. You know, you really have to fight through the mental and the physical aspect of being that great player that you once were. And I think she's back to that point. So go ahead and give me Madison Booker, give me Aaliyah Moore, plus our 2 perimeter shooters on the side, and Shailene Gonzalez and Shea Holly. I think they're able to go in Stillwater. Oklahoma State always has a really good coach team, but I think the Longhorns do just enough to be able to get this one, pull out the win, and come home to come face Oklahoma on Wednesday at the Moody Center.
Alrighty, very excited for that Oklahoma matchup.
Definitely.
Of course, I'll definitely be there. So now we're going to move on to men's basketball. We have some really exciting Big 12 matchups this weekend for men's basketball. I'm going to start off with Iowa State, ranked 24, against ranked 15 TCU. Sorry, that's going to be tomorrow at 1 on ESPNU. I'm going to start off with this one. I think TCU, they've had some really good home wins this past week. They beat Houston, and remind me, I believe they beat Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yeah, so they beat Oklahoma and Houston at home. They're going to be at home again. This is going to be a big test for them. I mean, TCU, you know, not a lot of people expected them to be in the top 25 this early in the season. So, I mean, I don't know. Iowa State's defense has been really good this year. I'm going to go with the upset Iowa State on the road just because I think TCU, you know, they might be a little bit too, you know, they might be too big for their head right now. You know, they're thinking that they beat some really good teams. They might think that Iowa State's just a step down. They might take it a little, you know, slower and stuff. I think Iowa State might be able to pull the upset here because they've been playing really good. I believe they're 6-1 so far this season in the Big 12. I could be wrong, but I believe that was the last time I checked. So, Manny, who do you have?
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead and give me TCU in this one. I'm going to go on the opposite direction just because they are playing at home. Like you said, they've had some good quality wins at home. They're able to play some really good basketball right now. Like you said, what, 15 currently?
Yeah.
Right? I want to say 15. So they're right, you know, kind of in that middle pack for sitting in the top 25. I think they're going to continue to kind of keep going through their Big 12 conference schedule. The big thing is, like you said, it is Iowa State. They are coming in. Iowa State does genuinely have a really good coach program. They always play you tough. They always play you hard. But I'm going to go ahead and say, give me TCU in this one just because they are at home. They've had some good wins at home. And just getting this good quality ranked win is going to just do some do some numbers for their season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with TCU as well. I mean, this team has played well on the road. They beat Oklahoma, Houston at home. I mean, they played well at home. They beat Oklahoma, Houston at home. They're coming off. They barely lost to Kansas. If you on the road, if you watch that game, there was a questionable call at the end. They got Kansas the ball back, and TCU really had a chance to take that one on the road. And they're coming off a loss to Cincinnati, which is a tough loss there. But I mean, they're on the road. They're coming back home. They got a chip on their shoulder now. I think it's a very talented team. The Iowa State team is also very talented, but I'm going to have to go with TCU.
That makes sense. All right, so TCU wins this round. We're going to go into the next big Big 12 game, though. We have number 20 ranked BYU at number 25 ranked Texas Tech. Both of these teams are actually coming off of losses, I believe. But Saturday, this game will be a Saturday at 5 on ESPN2. We'll start off with you, Manny. Who do you have?
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead and give me BYU in this one. I like the way that they're playing right now. You know, I've normally taken the home team this segment, but I'm going to go ahead and take the road team on this one. Like you said, you don't always win on the road, or the home team doesn't always win. I go ahead and give me BYU to come into Lubbock, and they're able to steal this one from the Red Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with BYU as well. I'm going to go with the road team again. I think BYU just has this amazing offense. They can kill you with the long ball. They've averaged about 12 or 3 threes per game so far this year, which is higher than any other team in the Big 12 by a lot. So they're killing teams by the long ball. Tech is coming off a major blowout to Houston, and BYU has just recently beat they beat UCF, and they also beat Iowa State.
Gotcha.
You know, again, this is going to be a major test on the road for them, but I think their offense is just going to be too good for Tech. Who do you have, Mike?
I'm going to have to go with Tech just because, I mean, the Tech team, Lubbock's a hard place to win.
Yeah.
Especially when that Tech team wants to win, especially when you're the Longhorns. But, I mean, it's that Lubbock, Lubbock is a hard place to win. That's a very hostile environment. The fans there, I will give Tech one thing. Their fans do always show up no matter how that team's going. And BYU, they're new to the conference. They probably never played an environment like that coming off the conference. Where did they come from? They were independent, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, they haven't played an environment like this, I would believe. So this is gonna be a tough one for them, and I got to go with Tech winning this one.
Okay, there you go.
A place of so BYU wins that 2-1, right? We got 2-1, okay. Home of Jimmer Fredette, one of the best college basketball players ever.
Jimmer.
Home of Puka Nacua.
Oh, really? I didn't know that, actually.
Home of Taysom Hill.
That's pretty
Taysom
crazy.
Hill as well.
Taysom
Yeah,
Hill.
that's right.
Hey, there we go. So we got the next Big 12 game, though, on Saturday at 11 ESPN. This is our big game for this weekend, of course. We have number 9 ranked Baylor coming in versus the Texas Longhorns. Who do you have, Mike?
As bad as these Horns have played recently, and as much as I want to say Baylor's going to come in here and beat them by 20+, I think UT, they got to be mad, you know what I mean? They got to be upset with themselves, if anything. They're coming off of just bad losses, back-to-back bad losses. Yeah. I think it's, I think they're going to find a way to get it done. I think they're going to find a way. They're going to take the energy of this home crowd, because I think a lot of people are going to show up. The Moody Center is a nice, packed environment when it's full. It's a very hard place to win. This year, apparently not. But it's a very hard place to win. I think Baylor's going to come in here and maybe get a little shell-shocked. Maybe, I don't know. They're a younger team if the environment's that big. So I'm going to go with the Longhorns.
I really like the optimism. I see more half empty, unfortunately. I'm going to have to go with Baylor. I think, Texas just has not looked too good recently. Baylor has, on the other side, has been looking really good. Texas against Baylor last year just struggled against them, and even in the Moody Center, that was probably the closest home game that they've had other than Oklahoma since the loss to Kansas State last year. So, again, as much as I want to say that Texas wins this game, I think that Baylor just comes in and has a quick run, and I don't think that Texas will be able to respond. They haven't had the second-half adjustments this year that would be able to help them win a top 10 game like this. So I'm going to go Baylor. Who do you have?
Yeah, you know what? It's very obvious this hasn't been the season of dreams, at least for the Longhorns.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that's gone wrong. There's some rumblings, like you guys talked about earlier in the show, of, Rodney Terry getting on the hot seat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what they want. This recruiting class that's coming in just kind of seems like too far out in the reach to kind of have any kind of hope or things like that. But I'm going to go ahead and go Texas on this one for the simple fact that you play for your coach, and that's the biggest thing. We saw that last season. Obviously, that last season, that team was primed and ready to win now, and they did accomplish what they set out to do. But I think the biggest thing is that you play for your coach, and as soon as you start hearing things about people talking about, this guy could probably be gone next season, you want to show why he's not going to be, right? You want to show why he's going to stick around, why he is the man for the job. You play for your coach. You play for your guys next to you. I think Texas takes this one. It's going to be a marquee win. If they do, I think it packs out the Moody Center for their next game, and I think it also gives them the confidence to keep going on the season. Like you said, it's pretty much a tourney game for the rest of the season for the Longhorns. They play so many ranked opponents. I think every team is a ranked opponent so far, right, that they have left on their schedule. It's not a good outlook, to be completely honest with you. But if the Longhorns can pull this one out, I think they have a great shot at really salvaging the season and doing something special.
No, I think it is. I like that. I like the analysis there. It's just like every single. You probably call this a must-win game for them at this point. Having
definitely.
to lose another home game this early in the Big 12 Conference would be pretty tough. But, I like it. I think Moody Center has been rocking this year. I think UCF game was one of the loudest I've ever heard it, actually, to be honest. It was really loud in there. So, I hope that can give them the motivation to win this game. I'm still going Baylor, unfortunately. But anyways, let's go with the last game this weekend that we have, my favorite, the NBA Game of the Year, possibly. We got the San Antonio Spurs at the Washington Wizards Saturday at 6. I believe they're both 7-33, something like that. Amazing. It's a tank bowl. It's the tank bowl. So, anyways, without further ado.
Are you kidding me? This is Battle of the Titans.
This
is Battle of
That's why I called it a tank, man. The big tank,
Right, exactly.
That's exactly. It's
shot after shot, man.
Come on, man. I'm not calling them bad. They're the best teams in the leagues. Mike, who do you have?
Man, now these are two powerhouse teams in their conferences. I mean, I think it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be it's going to be a great game. I think it's really going to come down to the wire with these two very talented offenses. But, you know, I got to go with the 7'6" man. I got to go with slender man Victor Wembanyama to go in there and knock out the soul of what they're going to do a knockout punch like Draymond did to Poole last year.
Oh boy.
Him and Kuz. That's a good duo though. That's a good duo. But I think Wembanyama gets it done. I go Spurs.
All right. Here you go, Manny.
Listen, man, look, growing up in Brownsville, Texas, Spurs were king. They'll always be king, to be completely honest with you. Doesn't matter if whatever that horse team does, out in North Texas, or we don't need that. We don't need that. Yeah,
somebody knocked it
fell
down,
for
I
a
guess.
reason. It fell for a reason. We don't care what the horse team does. Nobody cares what NASA does in Houston. You know what I mean? So listen, I think obviously we get it. It's not the season that the Spurs fans hoped it would be. There's been a little lull in playoff success or just regular season success in general. But I'm going to go ahead and take Victor Wembanyama in this one. I think he's a special player, definitely. To see what he's able to do, you know, kind of with the handles, playing the 1 through 5 position legitimately, you know, not being placed to play the 1 because they're forcing him to. I think he really can play every position on the court. I think he does a really great job at finding his teammates. Him and Devin Vassell are starting to get this really good 1-2 combination. Plus, you throw in Jeremy on the side as well, who's able to play really good defense on any kind of perimeter player. As much as this is Battle of the Titans, I'm going to go ahead and say give me the Spurs in this one.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to complete the sweep here, y'all. I think I'm going to have to go San Antonio, the winningest franchise in the NBA. You have to say it. You know, I'm just going with the team that hasn't lost to the Pistons this year. That's my logic. Victor, again, has also been getting the ball a lot more recently. You know, there's a lot of talk about him not getting the ball at the early part of the season. Now he's starting to get the ball. He's starting to get fed, and he's been looking really good whenever he does it. He's been really efficient with his minutes and scoring. Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, just, you know, they are a good duo, but you look at it, and Jordan Poole has the worst plus-minus in the league right now for, you know, active players, and I think you know, I think I just have to go with the Spurs here, even though they're on the road. Washington doesn't really have that much of a home court factor, to be honest. So give me the Spurs for the sweep. You know, got to support the Texas teams regardless, even though, you know, he said some things about them earlier in this, but you know, I'll say. But anyways, that's going to be it for this morning. You know, amazing first episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
So
Thank you, Manny, for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, guys. Anytime.
Make sure to tune in next week for our show. It's always at 10 a.m. on Friday mornings. We're going to be live. And be sure to check in on our sister shows, College Press Box on Tuesday nights at 9:30 and College Crossfire at Wednesday nights at 9. Again, I'm TJ Krilowicz. Thank you very much for also joining us, Mike Alvarez. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And have a good day.